Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. As we get everyone situated and as people start to enter, feel free to write in the chat box where you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear.
I first set my eyes on sweet Molly.
And enjoy the music.
As she wheeled
We have Linda from Illinois.
through the streets.
Danielle from Denver, Colorado. Hello. I hope you're doing okay. I heard it snowed a lot there. Sheila from Galloway, New Jersey. Margaret from Ohio. Hi, Margaret. Mary from Indiana. We have Patty from Canada. Hello, Canada. We're so happy you're here. We have Sharon from Tucson. Lynn from Mississippi. Hello. Happy to have you. Norma from Wisconsin. Hello. Patty from New Jersey. Joan from Winnipeg. Kathy from West Virginia. Hi, Kathy. Melissa from North Carolina. Welcome. Lillian from Boston, right down the road from me. Tony from Alabama. Hello, hello. We have Erin from Maryland. Oh, Erin says that Patricia was her tour guide. So hi to Patricia. She'll introduce herself in just a few minutes here. Marion from Florida, jealous of your sunshine.
Good girl.
Jane from Pennsylvania. Hi, Jane. Reminder to those that are still joining us, go ahead and write in the chat box where you're tuning in from. We'd love to say hello. We have Linda and Paul from Massachusetts. Sherry Lynn is from Nebraska, snowy Nebraska. Karen from Pittsburgh, top of the afternoon to you as well. Leslie from Pennsylvania. Sarah's from Chicago, hello. Linda from Ontario. I'm seeing lots of travelers tuning in from Canada. So happy to see you. Temple from Ohio, hello. Hello, Judy from Connecticut. You're right down the road as well, not too far from where I am. I'm in Massachusetts. Maureen, all the way from Seattle, Washington. Hi, how are you? Tammy from Michigan. Hello, hello. Kelly from California, welcome. Jeff from Worcester. Howdy, neighbor. Just a reminder to everyone who's still joining us, we'll get started here in a couple of minutes, but in the meantime, feel free to enjoy the music and right where you're tuning in from in the chat box. Thanks. We have a few from New Hampshire. Hello to Danielle and Arm. Claudia from New York, welcome. Sarah from Wisconsin, Chris from Oregon. Jerry from San Diego. Bunny from Boston, hello, my neighbor. Beverly from New York, welcome. More California tuning in. Harry from Mississippi. We're in the whole United States. Welcome, everybody. We're so happy to have you here with us. And I know we have some tuning in on Facebook, so welcome to you all as well. Connie, hi. We're so happy you're joining us. And Darlene is tuning in from North Carolina. Welcome. We're so happy to have you all here. We have Susan, who's an Irish gal from Chicago. Welcome. Lovely. Joanne from Illinois. We have Glory tuning in from our Facebook page. Hi and welcome. Amanda from Oregon. Mara from Dallas, welcome. Lots of representation from the Boston area. Welcome, everybody. We're happy to have you. Greetings from Alaska. Now we're really covering all the states. Patty from California, welcome. All right, everybody. So I think it's just about time for us to get started. We have a lot to cover today, so I want to make sure we have time. So hello and happy almost St. Patrick's Day. My name is Bailey. I work on our community and engagement team, and I'm really excited to be here. If this is your first time joining us for a travel talk, welcome. We're so happy to have you. And if you're a returning guest, welcome back. Today's going to be a lot of fun, but before we get started, I just want to set some expectations for our session. First, your camera and audio are not on, therefore our hosts cannot see or hear you. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, go ahead and submit those through the Q&A function that's either located on the top or bottom of your screen. For those who are tuning in from Facebook, if you do have questions, just go ahead and comment those below. We will have a live Q&A session at the end of this presentation to answer as many questions as we can, but for those that we can't get to, no problem, we'll have somebody reach out following the webinar. Now, I do want to kick us off here with a quick poll. It should actually appear on your screen automatically. If not, there should be a poll selection at either the top or bottom of your screen. Just go ahead and click that. And for those that are tuning in from Facebook, I'll read the poll question and answers aloud. Just go ahead and comment your answer below. So I am curious to hear, do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Yes, I celebrate every year at home. Yes, I've been to Ireland to celebrate. No, I don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And the last selection is, I haven't yet, but I'm hoping to in the future. Go ahead and get those answers in. Looks like a lot of us celebrate every year at home. Some that don't celebrate, some that are hoping to in the future. We'll give this a few more seconds. We have some, actually, I believe about 8 of you that have been to Ireland to celebrate. I'm very jealous, it's on my bucket list. Great, so it looks like the majority of you do celebrate every year at home, but we are so happy to be with you this year and to talk about Ireland today. And we're coming to talk about Ireland, which is one of my absolute favorite places, and of course, more specifically, the celebration and traditions of St. Patrick's Day. We have a lot of exciting things to discuss, from who St. Patrick is, the history of this day and how it's evolved, itineraries and experiences that we offer you here at Go Ahead, and then of course we'll conclude with a live Q&A with our tour directors. Now, I do hope everyone remembered to bring their ingredients for an Irish coffee or a beverage of your choice. Patricia is going to walk us through the correct way of making these soon so that you can enjoy them while our tour directors bring Ireland to life. Before I introduce our guests, though, I do want to talk about the Go Ahead difference. Our mission is to open the world through education, and we believe the best way to learn about the world is to experience it, and we want to help as many people do just that. Here at Go Ahead, we make travel accessible by handling all of the details for you. Our team of experts arrange your hotels, your meals, transportation, local guides, and we make sure that you feel supported from start to finish. And for those who have traveled with us, you know that our tour directors are the absolute heartbeat of our tours. They take care of all of the logistics and make sure you get from A to B safely. They're storytellers. They bring the destination you're traveling to life with their knowledge. And of course, they connect you to the culture, which is the most important when you're traveling. So without further ado, I do want to introduce you to the 3 incredible tour directors we have with us today. So tour directors, if you could introduce yourself, where you're tuning in from, how long you've been with EF, and your favorite hidden gem in Ireland. Brian, let's go ahead and start with you.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't wait. I had to start. My name is Brian. I'm based in Dublin, and I have been with Go Ahead Tours EF for 13 years now. And my favorite hidden gem is our trip to Glendalough to St. Kevin's Monastery. And that's one that I love. I would love going there.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brian. Patricia, did you want to introduce yourself?
Hi to everyone out there, to Sharon and to all the travelers that have been on tour with me, and to friends we have yet to meet. Delighted to be here with you this afternoon. I've been with Go Ahead EF for just over 6 years, and my favorite part of the tour is taking you on the magical Ring of Kerry route, and I'll tell you all about that later.
Thank you, Patricia. And now, Sean, did you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm based here in the historic Boyne Valley, where St. Patrick first came when he visited Ireland. I look forward to talking to you all later on, and I say hi to William and Peggy and all my friends from Go Ahead who I see have tuned in.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sean. And I love the getup. That is a great hat. Now, I do also know, Sean, that you are a bit of a St. Patrick's Day buff. So can you tell us a little bit more about this tradition?
St. Patrick's Day, St. Patrick's Day, O thou tormenting Irish lay, I've got thee buzzing in my brain and cannot tone thee out again. O mercy, music may be bliss, but not in such a shape as this, when all I do and all I say begins and ends in Patrick's Day. The words of Eliza Cook, a Victorian author and poetess, but even though she lived in a very austere Victorian England, she realised how happy a place St. Patrick's Day could be and could make. St. Patrick is our national saint. His day is celebrated world over on the 17th of March. He's probably more famous than St. Nicholas. His day is on the 6th of January, but nobody can tell you when that is. Patrick was born in the late 4th century. He was one of the most successful Christian missionaries in history. He was born in Britain to a Christian family of Roman citizenship. His father was a minor official of the Roman Empire. In the days before Go Ahead was invented and you could avail of Go Ahead tours, some of the ancient Irish spent their summer vacation raiding and pillaging on the western periphery of Europe and the coast of Britain. And on one of those tours, Patrick, at 16 years of age, was captured and he was brought to Ireland, where he was effectively treated as a slave. Ireland was a great slave centre, I might point out, but he worked as a shepherd, outdoors and away from the people. Lonely and afraid, he turned to his religion for solace and became a devout Christian. It is also believed Patrick first began to dream of converting the Irish people to Christianity during his captivity. After more than 6 years as a prisoner, it's said he was held here at Killala Bay in Mayo. He finally escaped, although some would argue he was actually held in Antrim on the north coast, but they say he walked 200 miles till he reached the east coast, and from there he managed to escape on board ship back to his native Britain. After escaping to Britain, Patrick reported that he had experienced the second revelation. An angel in a dream tells him to return to Ireland as a missionary. Soon after, Patrick began his religious training, a course of study that lasted more than 15 years. After his ordination as a priest, he was sent to Ireland with a dual mission, to minister to the Christians already in Ireland and to begin to convert the Irish. He arrived back in Ireland in 432 AD, arriving at the Hill of Slane by sailing up the ancient River Boyne into County Meath. You can see the Hill of Slane in this picture as it is today. In the bottom left-hand corner, you can make out the statue of St. Patrick with his right hand held up. I'm sure you can see that. That's about 7 miles from my hometown. I also have great-grandparents buried in that cemetery, so it's very much a part of my roots and the area where I live. Familiar with the Irish language and culture, Patrick chose to incorporate traditional ritual into his lessons on Christianity, instead of attempting to eradicate native Irish beliefs. For instance, he used bonfires to celebrate Easter, since the Irish were used to honouring their gods with fire. He also superimposed the sun, a powerful Irish symbol, onto the Christian cross to create what is now called a Celtic cross, so that veneration of the symbol would seem more natural to the Irish. Although there were a small number of Christians on the island when Patrick arrived, most Irish practiced a nature-based pagan religion. The Irish culture centred around a rich tradition of oral legend and myth. When this is considered, it is no surprise that the story of Patrick's life became exaggerated over the centuries. Now, you hardly believe that we would exaggerate. I know Brian never exaggerates, or Patricia, on their tours. So, sorry, but spinning exciting tales to remember history has always been part of the Irish way of life. He may be known as the patron saint of Ireland, but Patrick was never actually canonised by the Catholic Church. This is simply due to the era he lived in. During the first millennium, There was no formal canonization process in the Catholic Church. After becoming a priest and helping to spread Christianity throughout Ireland, Patrick was likely proclaimed a saint by popular acclaim. Patrick began his mission in 432, and by his death in 461, the island was almost entirely Christian. They say he died on the 17th of March, and that's why his national holiday is marked on that date. The celebration of St. Patrick's Day has been an important date in the Irish folk calendar. The traditions observed today have been noted over the centuries, and evidence for these can be found in our early Irish literature and in our folklore. Some of these folk customs developed over time into the St. Patrick's Day festival we recognise today. The shamrock, the small little green weed, I might point out, which they say St. Patrick plucked on the hill of Tara, and he used the symbol of the 3 leaves on one stalk to explain the Trinity to the old Irish king who was determined to stay in his pagan ways. Children made and wore St. Patrick's Day badges in the folk tradition. These circular badges incorporated the cross of St. Patrick, and there are many colourful examples in our National Museum. Boys generally wore badges that used coloured paper to form the cross and decoration. Girls typically used fabric and coloured ribbon, often gathering the ribbon to form small rosette decorations on the terminals of the cross. Boys originally wore theirs on one side of their caps, but latterly began to wear them like girls on the right shoulder. By 1908, brightly coloured silk rosettes with glued-on crosses were for sale on the streets of Dublin. The modern green rosettes for sale today originated from this custom. St. Patrick's pot was celebrated on the day, and was quite common for Irish people to cast their finished shamrock into the drink which they were celebrating to honour the saint. To drown the shamrock, which is something I really like to do on St. Patrick's Day. Afterwards, the shamrock was thrown over the right shoulder for luck. That's something we might recreate when you come on tour, but be careful where you throw the shamrock, because nowadays you might get put out of the pub. In Britain, America, Canada and Australia, parade celebrations were organised by benevolent societies promoting the emigrant Irish in the cities of their new homeland. Irish military regiments often took part in the parade. The first recorded parade honouring the Catholic feast was in a little place called St. Augustine in Florida, and I'm sure there's somebody from Florida tuned in at the moment. Records show that St. Patrick's Day parade was held on March 17th, 1601 in a Spanish colony under the direction of the colony's only Irish Victor Ricardo Arthur. More than a century later, homesick Irish soldiers serving in English military marched in Boston in 1737 and in New York on March 1762.
Dawn, I just want to chime in here really quickly because I know a lot of cities in the US have huge celebrations for St. Patrick's Day, like Chicago, for instance. You can see here on the left that they dye their river green. And other major cities like Boston and New Orleans have parades and even green beer. Can you tell us more about the celebrations that happen in Ireland today, or even what you're doing to celebrate tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow, unfortunately, because of COVID, we won't be doing very much. So everything will be virtual. So I've started my celebrations today. And this is the start of it all. While I'm upset about the COVID, I'm not so upset that I won't have to share my Bushmills with anybody. I can enjoy more of it myself. The extravagant parades we recognise today were actually imported back to Ireland from overseas. In the early 1950s, the National Agricultural and Industrial Association, influenced by the large-scale parades abroad, took charge of the parade in Dublin to showcase Irish industry. The parade featured floats from business and marching bands. From 1970, the parade was organised by Dublin Tourism, and then a St. Patrick's Day committee was established in 1995, and a weekend festival was developed. It's now a week-long festival and promoted with nationwide events, and I'm sure you'll all have a wonderful time when you come with Go Ahead to the St. Patrick's Day tour. Patrick features in many stories in the Irish oral tradition, and there are many customs connected with his feast day. These traditions have been given new layers of meaning over time, while also becoming tied to Irish identity, both in Ireland and abroad. The symbolic resonance of the St. Patrick figure is complex and multifaceted, stretching from that of Christianity's arrival in Ireland to an identity that encompasses everything Irish. In some portrayals, the saint is symbolically synonymous with the Christian religion itself. Popular religious expression has this characteristic feature of merging elements of culture. Later in time, the saint becomes associated specifically with Catholic Ireland and synonymously with the Irish national identity. Subsequently, St. Patrick is a patriotic symbol, along with the colour green and the shamrock. St. Patrick's Day celebrations include many traditions that are known to be relatively recent historically, but have endured through time because of their association either with religious or national identity. They have persisted in such a way they have become stalwart traditions, viewed as the strongest of Irish traditions. To finish talking on St. Patrick, I have to turn to the bard Mr. Yeats and invite you all, as Yeats said, I am of Ireland and the holy land of Ireland, and time rides on, cried he. Come out of charity, come dance with me in Ireland.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of that information, Sean. I know that I learned something new today. And now, as promised, I want to turn it over to Patricia, who's going to walk us through how to make a traditional Irish coffee. And be sure to have your ingredients ready. We'll give you a couple of seconds here to do that. You'll need brewed hot coffee, brown sugar, whiskey, of course, whipped cream or heavy whipping cream, and a mug to put it all in. So Patricia, I'll hand it over to you to show us how to do it.
Thank you, Bailey, and welcome into my kitchen. So here we are, we're going to make a wonderful Irish coffee. So of course I have the kettle steaming here, and we pour some boiling water into the glass. Make sure you have a spoon in first. That will protect the glass from breaking with the boiling water. It is very important that you heat the glass first. Get nice and warm so that you get the real benefit of your Irish coffee. So now that we have that done, we can just make sure it's nice and warm and dispose of that. And we will just take our Jameson. Our Jameson is our triple distilled Irish whiskey made in Middleton, which is quite close here to the south of Ireland. And we don't really, we're not too exact about the measure. We just give it a good, decent measure. That's it. Now, whiskey, ironically enough, the Gaelic word for whiskey is Ishka Baha. Ishka Baha, which really means water of life. So, of course, we're not shy about how much we use. It is good for us. We put in our whiskey and our spoon of sugar. Okay, you can use 2 spoons if you wish, however you like it. And we make sure we keep it, stir it right up. We've got 2 spoons in there. Okay, make sure it's well dissolved. Well dissolved. Now, everything here, of course, is Irish, our lovely clotted cream, and our whiskey, very important. So now we top it up about 2/3 of the way up. Our freshly made coffee. Okay. Now we want to make sure that it is well dissolved before we put in the cream, because it is very important that the cream sits on the top. Okay, there we go. There we go. We got some lovely fresh. Some people like pouring cream, others like it nice and thick. So let's put it on top. Lots of it. After all, it is St. Patrick's weekend coming up. There we go. Okay. Sláinte. Sláinte, which is cheers, good health. So to all our friends and friends we're yet to meet, Gonari and Bohar live, which is, may the road rise to meet you, a law fela near Portig Div Golair. A happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. Sláinte.
Oh, thank you, Patricia. And you know what, too? I know a lot of people are wondering how to pronounce Sláinte. So if you could just give us a little lesson so we can practice here.
Okay, well, that question can be answered differently in different parts of the country, because, you know, even though we all speak the Irish language, there are different dialects. But for us down here in the south of Ireland, we say Sláinte. the Schlein, as in Slawn, Schlein, Schleinte. So
Schlante, right?
there we go,
Schlante.
Schleinte.
Well, Schlante. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Patricia.
Enjoy.
I hope everyone is enjoying their Irish coffee. And while you're sipping, let's talk about two of our favorite tours to experience over St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. And to note quickly, both of the itineraries I'll mention here include a free day in Dublin for the celebration and the parade. The first itinerary we have is a week in Ireland. This tour is for those that are looking to see the three major areas of Ireland, but in a shorter time frame. The itinerary starts in Dublin, heads to Cork through Kilkenny, and then it concludes in the beautiful city of Galway. It gives you the perfect taste of Ireland, where you feel like you've seen as much as you can, but in a short amount of time. Our next itinerary is a bit longer for those who have more time. The Traditions of the Emerald Isle mimics our week in Ireland, but adds County Kerry, making it a little bit longer at 11 days. And let me tell you, all of Ireland is beautiful, but the Ring of Kerry is by far the most gorgeous place I've ever been to. And our tour directors can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel pretty confident about it. Another note for this specific itinerary is the extension to Belfast that's offered. So this allows you to venture out of the Republic of Ireland and into the UK governed Northern Ireland. But overall, this itinerary is quite comprehensive, and you'll leave this tour feeling like you'd seen it all. So I do want to pass it over to our tour directors who are going to share more about these areas that you visit. And Brian, can you actually start us off? I would love to hear more about the experience in Dublin.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay, it's my turn. Yeah, St. Patrick's Day in Dublin is a bit crazy, all right? As you can see there from the picture, that's Temple Bar on a quiet St. Patrick's afternoon. Can get pretty crazy. The parade itself takes place from 11 o'clock till around 1 o'clock in the day, and it goes down the main street, O'Connell Street, and crosses over the bridge, the River Liffey, over O'Connell Bridge in towards the south side of the city. You can see there the marching bands. Most of those marching bands actually come from North America. Some of the floats and dancers that we see on the right hand side of the picture, they are Irish people usually, and they have a competition for the best floats or the most colourful, and they have them categorized, and they can win prizes for them as well. The parade finishes around 1 o'clock or so, and then you're free for the rest of the day. So there's plenty of music on the streets and storytelling and food festivals, because the festival itself is about 2 days before St. Patrick's Day and about 3 days afterwards. So it's over 5 or 6 days to have a St. Patrick's Day festival. Then you have some choices then as well. This is a quiet afternoon in the Temple Bar area. But I do recommend that there's some places that I like to go for a pint of Guinness, and a little bit off the beaten track. Yeah, go and visit Temple Bar and have a look, but don't stay there because it's too crazy. Here we go, the Oval Bar and the third one there, the first one and the third one, the Oval Bar and the Palace Bar. They're Victorian pubs, so late 19th century, turn of the 20th century, and they're preserved in the style that they've been built in, and they cannot be changed. So the atmosphere and the whole look of the place is just superb. Quite close to O'Connell Street. Then you have Paddock Carney's there, the second one, great atmosphere, and you can see the guy outside with the guitar, great for music. And then Murray's Pub is quite popular with EF groups and go-ahead groups, and that has they play music and dancing all the time going on in the pub, but that's in O'Connell Street as well.
Love that. And Brian, seeing all of these pubs as well is making me very thirsty. So maybe we can all take a second to have a sip of our drinks and practice again our sláinte. Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers. And Brian, I do know too that there is some more free time and things to see and do in Dublin. So can you tell us a little bit more about what our travelers can experience when they're in the city?
Sure, yeah. With the free time, you've got the chance to go and visit the Guinness Storehouse. So that's a paid entry, and you can book that online before you get here and select your time and all that kind of thing. And it's quite an interesting place to go. Sometimes you get to pull your own pint as well, and you get a certificate. And also, we have Trinity College, which holds the Book of Kells, and that's in the center of the city. Beautiful setting, dates back to the Elizabeth I when it started. That's the library in Trinity College. Look at that, it's amazing. And the Book of Kells is held there. Again, it's a paid visit, but you can book that online as well before you arrive. So you can time your day in such a way that you can get to do these things after the parade. And it's really, really, really good fun. And they're quite interesting as well to visit. So from there, we will go to, we have an optional on the go ahead tour, the trip. It's to Glendalough. Glendalough in Gaelic, it means the Valley of the Two Lakes. And this is the monastery here, you see the round tower, is of St. Kevin, the second famous male saint of Ireland, after St. Patrick, of course. And this is one of my favorite places to visit, as I mentioned. And I am a qualified guide in Ireland, so I actually give the tour myself at Glendalough. It's an afternoon. We just spend the afternoon there and we get back into the city. It's about an hour and a half's drive from the city centre of Dublin, but it's so calm and peaceful and serene. It's a magnificent place to visit, and it's worth considering as an optional when you do take the go-ahead trip. So from there, we leave Dublin and we make our way south. We're going towards Cork, but before we get to Cork, we stop along the way for a photo opportunity here at this very famous, the Rock of Cashel in County Tipperary. And you can see another round tower there. This dates back, some of the records date back to the 5th century. Some of these buildings here are obviously later than that, but it's high up on a rock, on a hill, and it's an amazing view. So we stop along there for a break, and we take a chance to take a photograph of the Rock of Cashel. They probably light that up tomorrow. They light it up green tomorrow for St. Patrick's Day as well. From there, we move on, we go towards Kilkenny. Anything beginning with Kill means church. Kilkenny is Kilcanis, the Church of St. Canis, the patron saint of Kilkenny. The Marble City, it's known as well. And it's also where Kilkenny Castle is based. And this castle is very famous for the home of a very famous man, in an Anglo Norman called Strongbow, who led the arrival of the Anglo-Normans to Ireland and conquered Ireland in the 12th century. There's a view, a fantastic view of the castle on the outside, and then the beautiful interior there you can see from the photographs.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian. I want to just jump in here quickly. I do want to pass it off to Patricia to talk a little bit more about the next area we'll cover. But Patricia, I know that Cove, which is where we're going to tackle next, was a location that the Titanic docked at and actually welcomed passengers. So can you tell us more about that, and then Cove itself?
Absolutely, Bailey. Cove is a beautiful seaport town. As you can see here, loud, beautifully, brightly painted houses just running along by the edge of Cork Harbour. Cove sits in Cork Harbour. And sometimes you may pick up the name in your itinerary as Queenstown, but it is one and the same place. In Cove, you have the majestic St. Coleman's Cathedral, which is looking out over the seas, looking right across the ocean, out onto the Atlantic Ocean. And here to the right of that photo, you have the beautiful bandstand. Now, this bandstand is a kickback to Victorian times. It's when Queen Victoria came to visit Cove in the mid-1800s. She fell in love with the place so much, she actually changed the name to Queenstown. But it was my pleasure and a great memory I have of a young couple on my tour in 2018 who decided to get engaged here in Ireland. And this young man went down on one knee, surrounded by all the other travelers on the tour, and proposed to his young girlfriend. And of course, the great news is she said yes, which was a great celebration. We move on down from the bandstand out of the town, back down towards the Heritage Centre. And indeed, yes, Bailey, it is from here that the passengers, 123 of them, boarded the Titanic, that ill-fated ship. Now, this museum, this Heritage Centre, is probably more a museum of immigration, because over 2 million people would have immigrated through this port of Cove in the time of our Great Hunger, the famine in the mid-1800s. So when you go in here, you get the opportunity to take on the mantle, to become one of those travelers that would have gone out through Cove and see where their life, what happened, and the fate was in front of them. And just there on the right-hand side, you have our beautiful bronze sculpture of Annie Moore, that young girl who was the first young immigrant girl from Ireland to cross the threshold into Ellis Island. And I'm sure many of you know the song Isle of Hope, Isle of Tears, which absolutely immortalizes that young lady. So after spending a few hours in Cove, we make our way into Cork City. Oh, Cork City, a beautiful, friendly city, the second largest city in Ireland, second to Dublin. However, the Cork people are very territorial, and they always try to say that this is the real capital of Ireland. A little bit of friendly rivalry that goes on between Dublin and Cork. Cork is built on the city Lee, on the River Lee, my apologies, on the River Lee, and boasts some very fine buildings. In particular, it has some great cathedrals, but it has a beautiful opera house and the Crawford Gallery there right behind. But of course, in true Cork style, it is a great city for dining outdoors. As you can see, these people here who are enjoying dinner out in a beautiful sunny afternoon in Cork City, overshadowed there by the church, the Shandon Bells Church. So
Patricia, I just want to chime in really quickly here, because it's great that you're bringing up that this is a beautiful sunny day, because I think this is a question we get from a lot of people who have interest in Ireland, which is, when is the best time to visit weather-wise?
Well, we forget about weather-wise. Anytime, any day is a good day to visit Ireland. You're welcome anytime. The Irish people love to see you coming. Yes, the weather, of course, we have to mention the weather, but you know, in Ireland, we don't have any extremes of temperature or heat or cold. We have a very temperate climate. So, you know, we get lots and lots of sunshine. And I'm sure the travelers out there who have traveled with me are curious as to how I'll answer that question, because they know my thoughts on the weather. Every day the sun is shining. Sometimes we get liquid sunshine, sometimes we get the bright yellow sunshine, but every day is a wonderful day in Ireland. You could come to Ireland and bring your sweater, or maybe two, but bring your sweater, bring your good walking shoes, and on the same day you will use your sweater, your wind cheater, your sun cream, and your sunglasses. So every day is a wonderful day in Ireland.
Love it. Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on from Cork City. We only have a walking tour through Cork City, so it's quite short. Then we go on to the magnificent Blarney Castle, this 16th century castle. This is famous, of course, and I've no doubt most of your travelers have heard about the Blarney Castle before. Blarney Castle is home to the great Blarney Stone, that legendary stone. And if you wish to climb the 127 steps and go to 37 feet high up into the tower, there you will find the stone. As you can see there, a young lady is being supported as she kisses the stone. Rest assured that if you make that journey and kiss that Blarney Stone, you will be bestowed with the gift of eloquence and never again be lost for words. However, if the Blarney Stone is not something you wish to kiss and you do not wish to climb those steps, there's plenty else to do around the castle. There's 60 acres of parklands, lots of walks, arboretums, waterways, and of course, a little walk through the poisonous garden is a great treat always, to see those common flowers that you were blissfully unaware that are poisonous. So Blarney is a great stop, but now we have to cross the county bounds and go into County Kerry. County Kerry, this Ireland, as you know, is a very strong agricultural land, but in County Kerry, the farming is a little bit different. Lots of hills, lots of valleys, glaciated valleys, and many lakes. Kerry is known in Ireland as to be the capital of tourism in Ireland. It is a great place to come and visit because you see all the varieties of the landscape in one area. And on your way, there is no doubt, but you're going to meet the local four-legged sheep. They are just 3.8 million sheep in Ireland. I repeat that, 3.8 million, and there's just over 4.5 million people in the Republic of Ireland. So as you can see, sheep farming is very big and very prosperous, particularly so here in County Kerry.
And Patricia, sorry, you said 3.8 million sheep. That's a lot of sheep in one country. And are all of them owned by people, or how does that work?
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, a lot of sheep for sure. And right up through the west coast of Ireland, there's plenty of sheep. They are all owned, they're privately owned. All the land here, much of the land, I should say, correction, much of the land here in Kerry will be commonage. And commonage will be land that's owned by the state, but the sheep farmers have the permission and the rights to grazing rights to this area. So sheep are very common on the side of the road. They just wanders and the motorists just know to respect them and let them cross the road. As many of our travelers have found, so often we would have to stop for the sheep to cross before we could continue on our way. So then coming on the Ring of Kerry, that beautiful day out, that entire day that we all spent together. And we start off usually in a little place called Kilorglan. And Kilorglan is famous for a number of things, but probably the most famous is the Puck Fair festival that happens every year in the summer. The Puck Fair, the Puck is the male goat, and as you can see here, he is immortalized in bronze, great sculpture. And he's revered in this part of the country because the local people believed he came down from the mountain and forewarned them of terrible atrocities that were on the way, particularly back in the Cromwellian times in our history. On that particular day for this festival, they bring him into the town, they raise him up there in this gang tree that you see in the center of the town, and the local people honor him. Now, all you animal lovers, don't you worry. There is no fear of this puck goat. He is well looked after. He's well fed, watered, and I tell you a little secret. They keep rotating the goat, although you're not supposed to know that. So then we leave Kilorglan and we go on to meet what we call the Bog Village. This particular visit, I always think is wonderful because it gives everyone an opportunity to see exactly how the Irish people lived back in the early 19th century. These little houses, little small houses, one window, one door, thatch roof, mud walls, thick mud walls. But in this little village, you would have had literally the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. You'd have had the blacksmith, the turf cutter, the thatcher, the guy who put the thatch on the roofs. And they all lived in the one little village, supporting each other. And as I say, it's a great experience to get a real feel and to see for yourself just how it was for the people back at that time, early 19th century. Then we move along and we're getting hungry, so it's time for lunch. Now, of course, the Irish stew and shepherd's pie is always on the menu, as well as all the other dishes as well. But of course, the Irish stew is by far the most popular.
Patricia, too, these look absolutely delicious. And I am curious to know what's typically eaten on St. Patrick's Day. And what will you be cooking tomorrow to celebrate?
Oh, there is no doubt, but tomorrow has to be an Irish stew day. And has been for tradition for always to have Irish stew on St. Patrick's Day. Everything that's Irish. So once you've had lunch and, we're probably feeling a little bit sleepy, it's time to get going again. And we get a glimpse of this amazing rock rising up out of the ocean. It looks just like a rock, but it is much more than that. It is Skellig Michael. Now, we only get a glimpse of it because it's quite a ways out into the sea. But this rock is famous for back in the 6th and 8th century. The monks lived on this rock. Skellig Michael, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And these are the little cells that the monks used to live in. Imagine that. Imagine how our people endured in the past. Once we leave that, just before I go from that, Skellig Michael, of course, has become quite popular and quite well known in the last number of years since it's a part of the last Star Wars movie. But I am sure the monks, there's much more history there than just Star Wars. We leave that and we carry on up towards a place called Kumakishta. As you can see, we're heading right out there near the horizon, up the windy roads to the top of the hill. The Kumakishta is the mountain of treasures. And in the distance, you can see the Atlantic Ocean, which will be running along at our right-hand side pretty much all the time. The wild Atlantic Way, dotted with its many islands in the distance. Then
I just want to interrupt really quickly. We had a question come in actually from Gail. She's wondering if we can make Irish stew without flour. Is that a possibility, or how is it made?
Oh, right. That is most certainly a possibility. We don't use flour when we make our Irish stew. We have our vegetables and our meat and our potato, of course, and we make some soup. We make stock from the bones of the meat, and we have our stock ready a couple of days before. So we don't use any flour at all in our. Maybe a spoonful of corn flour, but really as such, we don't use flour. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, and then we're leaving Kumakishta and we're going on down, hugging the water's edge, and we come into the little town of Sneem, or Shneem, as the locals will say quite definitely. Sneem is actually known as the knot in the ring of Kerry, and it's where the Kenmare, the Waterford Kenmare Bay meet. And here we get some delicious homemade ice cream, which is always a great favorite. And of course, a little walk around the town, a chance to chat with the locals. And remember, the local people love to talk to you, and they love when you talk to them. So don't ever be shy, just start up a conversation. As we leave Sneem, we come on to what I believe is a little hidden gem here in Ireland, well visited, but there is no photograph that will ever compare to the natural beauty when you step off the coach at Ladies View. Take the few steps forward and look out on where the three lakes meet, the three major lakes of Killarney. They meet and entwine. This is called Ladies View. Again, a kick back to Queen Victoria when she came in the mid-1800s. She brought her ladies in waiting out there to see this amazing view. It never stops to excite. It's almost a gasp, a wow moment for the travelers. So back into the coach, we're getting very close back to our town now. There we are going through the National Park in Killarney, and which is home to Ireland's only native red deer. And you will get to see them, plenty of them on the side of the road as we drive through. Next stop is back into Killarney town for a good evening meal and a good night's rest before Brian will take you on his way up the wide Atlantic way.
Thank you so much, Patricia. I do want to pass it over to Brian to talk about the final city that we visit on these itineraries, which is Galway. And what we're looking at here is actually the Cliffs of Moher. And when I visited Ireland, a fact that I was pretty shocked by is the amount of birds that inhabit the cliffs, or the different species, I should say. So can you tell us more about that, Brian?
Sure, yeah. There are 20 different species of birds at the Cliffs of Moher, Moher. Sometimes people say to me mohair, but it's moher. But there's 20 different species of birds there. The cliffs rise up between 600 and 700 feet, quite incredible. The views of the Atlantic Ocean, the views are just spectacular. It is the second most popular visited spot in Ireland after the Guinness Storehouse. And the views there, you can see the Aran Islands, the three Aran Islands from the cliffs. Now, if it's a bit of an inclement day and it's a bit cloudy and misty, not to worry, there is a visitor centre where they had all the photographs of all the different species of birds and the wildlife as well, and the information about all of the different species and when they fly in and fly out and migrate or whatever. So yeah, it's a great spot. It's always popular. Everybody always talks about their stop at the Cliffs of Moher, and yeah, somebody just said they were there on a windy day. Yeah, if you're anyway small frame, we always recommend you put stones in your pockets so you don't blow away. So yeah, so it's a spectacular. We spend a bit of time there, and then from there we move on from the Cliffs of Moher through the area called the Burren. The Burren is a limestone rock area. You can see it there. It's protected, and that they always have a notice up saying "Take nothing away but memories," and it goes along the coastline and along the Atlantic coast, and it takes us into the city of Galway. So you can see across the bay there in that photograph, that's Galway Bay you're looking at, and then Galway City across the other side. So we're coming from the Burren, County Clare, into County Galway. There we are. This is Galway City. It was a walled city, so it's quite compact and one main pedestrian street. And there you have the pub, the King's Head. That stretches way back on the inside. Looks small there, but it's quite big, and always good music and good crack. Now, don't be put off by the word crack. C-R-A-I-C, and that's the Gaelic word for fun. So we talk
and
about
Brian,
the crack. Yeah.
I love that. So the King's Head, lots of crack there, lots of fun.
Yeah.
So we did have a question about the best pubs to visit in Galway. Would you say that that's one of them, or what are some other
That's one of them.
suggestions?
Yeah, that's one of them. But just to the right of where that picture, the picture is where we just there with that one in the busker with the street performer. Just around that corner, there's a little pub called Tig Queely, the House of Music. And they have music. And sometimes I know a lot of people on our tours like to go to bed at a reasonable hour, unlike ourselves. So they do music in the afternoons, or 6:30 in the early evening, and 8:30, that kind of time. So you can always get to enjoy some music when we're in Galway as well. And good Guinness.
Perfect. Thank you.
Now, here we're looking at, there's very famous tribes of Galway. One of them is the Lynch family. And on the right-hand side, you're looking at what they call Eyre Square, E-Y-R-E, Jane Eyre Square, that's the name, same name. And that's just outside the walled city. So it's just an open area. And to the left of that photograph in Eyre Square is the John F. Kennedy Park, dedicated to John F. Kennedy. And what you're looking at, that sculpture there, is what is an artist's interpretation of a Galway hooker. Don't be worried. It means a sailing ship. The Galway hookers are Galway, and they're sailing ships that are along that you can see there as well. So we go from there. We spend the evening in the 2 nights in Galway. There's a fantastic view you see there of Galway Bay and the River Corrib looking out towards the Atlantic Ocean. Beautiful place to visit. People are amazing. You love it. And I love visiting Galway. Fantastic people there too.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brian. And we actually did get a question that came in while you were chatting about how you get from A to B on this tour, or Ireland tours in general. Is it by bus, train, or what's the mode of transportation?
Yeah, we travel with by coach. It's a coach we have, and the same coach and same driver we have for the whole tour. So you get to know the driver and myself as we travel with you. So from the time you arrive to the hotel in the first point, which is usually Dublin, until you leave, you're with us. You're stuck with us on the bus, and you have to listen to us talking to you forever and ever and ever. But no, there's not. I saw the question. No trains or anything involved. It is. It's just purely
coach, right?
by a private coach, only for ourselves.
Perfect. Incredible. And thank you for that, Brian. I do want to move on to the Q&A so we have time to answer as many questions as possible. Okay. And before we begin too, I want to ask a question for each of you from me, which is, what is your favorite St. Patrick's Day tradition? So Patricia, let's start with you.
Oh, my favorite St. Patrick's Day tradition is actually the day before St. Patrick's Day. As a child, my father used to take us out the fields and the farm to pick some shamrock to wear on the day. And I've been out this morning, and here is my shamrock that I picked for St. Patrick's Day to wear on our lapel tomorrow.
I love it. Love it. And Sean, would you go ahead and share your favorite tradition?
My favourite tradition on Patrick's Day is to sing a song, which I always do on tour. So here goes. Oh, the Garden of Eden has vanished, they say, but I know the lie of it still. Just turn to the left at the bridge of Finney, and stop when halfway to Coot Hill. It's there you will find it, I know sure enough, when fortune has come to your call. Oh, the grass it is green around Ballyghamesduff, and the blue sky is over it all. And tones that are mellow, and tones that are gruff, come whisper, come over the sea. Come back, Paddy Riley, to Ballyghamesduff. Come home, Paddy Riley, to me. Sláinte.
Woo, sláinte. That was amazing. So Brian, if you want to try and top that, what's your favorite tradition?
I live in Dublin, so I usually wait till after the parade, because most Dublin people watch the parade on TV at home, except unless you've got children and you'll bring them into the parade. But if not, and we wait till the parade is over, then we go into the city for the atmosphere and end up in a bar somewhere like the ones I've mentioned, and usually get involved with some singing and playing music and musicians. So I try to, I usually bring some of the group with me, the ones that want to go, the happier one.
I love it. Everybody, right?
No, but people on St. Patrick's Day, when we have the group on the tour, they've everything organized. Some people are so organized. They've got Guinness organized, they've got Book of Kells organized, they've got, so the ones that are just free and easy going, that they just like to go with the flow, they usually come with me. You know, so, yeah.
I love it. Perfect. So let's go ahead and dive into some Q&A questions.
Okay.
I actually want to direct the first one to you, Brian. We had a question come in from Kim, and she's wondering, how will Brexit affect the travel between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland?
There's no border, and that was part of the delay in the Brexit negotiations, and but there's absolutely no border. When you cross over from the Republic of Ireland to the north, you don't even know you're passing through. The only change you will see is that all the signs are only in the English language and not in the Irish or Gaelic language. And the speed goes from, we're in kilometres and Northern Ireland's in miles. And that's the only difference.
Perfect. Yeah, and I would agree, because I was on tour and you barely even notice going through. Very seamless. So I have a question I want to direct to Sean. This came in from Pat. She's wondering the difference between who drinks Bushmills and who drinks Jameson. But really, what's the difference in the two whiskies?
The three cities, Belfast, Dublin and Cork, are associated with the three whiskies. Bushmills, this one here, being the Belfast whiskey, and Patricia showed you Jameson, which is the Dublin whiskey, and Paddy is the Cork whiskey. So the story goes that three guys from the three cities sat down one day to have a drink in the local Irish pub, as you will do, I hope. And the Belfast guy got up first and said, could I have 3 large Bushmills, please? And he got them, and the three of them drank them. And then the Dublin guy got up and said, could I have 3 large Jamesons, please? And they got them and they drank them. And then the Cork guy got up, and you see, they're kind of clever guys in Cork. The guy from Cork said to the barman, could I have 3 large Jameson, please? So the other two guys sat kind of shocked. And one of them said to him, hey, he said, I was sure you'd have ordered Paddy. And the Cork guy said, well, if you had to say you were drinking whiskey, you know.
I love that.
So that's the difference. I hope that answers the question.
I think it does. Amazing. Thank you. And so, Patricia, I'll direct this at you, but anyone can answer this, because I'm sure maybe we all know about this, but how did corned beef and cabbage become a meal for St. Patrick's Day, especially in the US? So wondering if that's something that's eaten or a tradition of Ireland, or what's the story there?
That's a question we get asked all the time on tour, and I can only tell you from my experience, corned beef was something I would rarely have ever eaten as a child growing up, ever. But it was a typical dinner you would get in England, corned beef. We would have bacon and cabbage, which was a totally different thing. Now, bacon and cabbage was a bit of the pig, and the stable diet when I was growing up here and for dinner was pig's head and cabbage. And as we would say in Ireland, floury potatoes that were just bursting out of their skins. So corned beef, in my experience, has never been a traditional meal in Ireland, but maybe Brian and Sean would disagree with me or agree with me. I'm not sure which.
Well, yeah, in Dublin, my parents would have had corned beef on a regular basis, but it wasn't the staple. It would have been every other, it wasn't. Bacon would be more, bacon would have been more popular than corned beef. But cabbage, yes, absolutely. Bacon and cabbage, absolutely.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you both. I do have a question for you too, Brian, just about the museums. Will those be open on St. Patrick's Day?
Yes, because the museums only close on Mondays. St. Patrick's Day next year is Thursday, so yeah, they open after the parade. The museums and the galleries in Dublin, they're all close to Trinity College, are all free. There's no charge for our museums or galleries anywhere in the country. So free entry, and you don't have to book anything, you just turn up.
Perfect. And then, Sean, I did want to direct a question to you. Let me see here. So what stops on the tour? What would you say your top 2 spots on the tour have the most historical significance? So
well, of
think
course,
of those on the dime.
Well, Dublin City itself is amazingly significant from a historical perspective. But to really see context and feel history, I always think the Rock of Cashel is the one to visit. It stands there. You've seen Game of Thrones. You've seen all the old movies. This is the real McCoy. This is a medieval construction on an out-jutting rock, which Brian spoke about earlier on. But I always feel at the Rock of Cashel, you're stepped back 1,000 years. and it hasn't changed. That would be the real historical highlight of one of the tours for me.
That's perfect. Thank you, Sean. And Patricia, I do want to ask you too. We talked about this offline here, but can you describe what hurling is for us?
Hurling, it's our national game. Yes, we love our hurling. It is a national game. It's played with a stick and a little small leather ball. And the stick is like a curve at the end of it. It's long, it's about maybe 3 feet, 36 inches high, and a curve at the flat. And the ball then is called a schlitter. It's a Gaelic word, a schlitter. It's a very, very hard leather ball. And there's a number of particular rules about the game, and of course, there's scoring points. So if you're playing into an upright and the schlitter goes over the crossbar, it is a point. If it goes into the net, it is a goal, which is equal to 3 points. But the amazing thing about hurling is a very, very fast game, and the schlitter is known to travel up to 80 to 100 miles per hour when it's been hit by the hurl, or the hurley, as we would call it. The hurley is made of ash timber, and sometimes the game will be referred to as the clash of the ash. That's when two hurleys would hit together. A great game. Well recommend anybody going online on YouTube and looking it up. Brilliant.
Yes.
Game.
And if the ball's coming at you, duck and cover, right?
Duck and cover.
Run.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
And I have a question I think maybe all of you could answer to, or if Brian, if you want to just tackle this, are there any parades in Cork and Galway as well, or is it just Dublin?
Every city, every town, every city, every town in Ireland has a parade, every single one. In fact, when Sean was talking earlier about St. Patrick, the parade that they showed in Dublin, the other photograph was actually Galway City. Every single town and city has a parade, yeah.
That's awesome. As they should,
Every
right?
small parish.
And every parish, yeah.
Parish.
Perfect. And I think we have time for one more question. And this one's a bit of a funny one. So we had Shelley write in. She wants to know, I think maybe her teenagers are listening or they're curious. What's the drinking age in Ireland?
18.
18.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe at one point it was if you could see over the bar, or maybe that was somewhere else.
Yeah, 18.
No comment.
We're sticking with 18.
We'll stick with 18.
That's the
We don't want to
legal
get
age.
anyone in trouble.
Yeah, that's the legal age.
Perfect.
We won't talk about the rite of passage.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, I think that's all we have time for today, but thank you so much for answering those questions and being here and sharing your country with us. Now, Ireland tours, there are many ways to see and experience Ireland. And at Go Ahead, we have different travel styles to accommodate that. So you can go on our classic tours and experience the Grand Tour of Ireland and get a very comprehensive look at the country. Or you can go off the beaten track on one of our adventure tours and experience the Wild Atlantic Way, or tackle highlights of Ireland as a solo traveler, ones that we touched on today, which are Galway, Cork, and Dublin, to our food and wine portfolio, where you can eat and drink your way through the country. And of course, for those organizing groups, we always have the option to make your tour private or customized. So this actually allows you to have an exclusive experience and adapt your own itinerary based on your interests. So Ireland has so much to offer. We hope that if it wasn't on your bucket list before, that it is now. And with that, I hope you enjoyed your time today. And be sure to join us in the future if you did. We have a lot of exciting travel talks coming up, and you can view them all on our website at www.goaheadtours.com/webinars. Lots and lots of exciting stuff coming, so be sure to check those out. And with that, I do want to give you a huge thank you for joining us today. We had so much fun talking with you all, and we can't wait to see you on the road soon. And tour directors, any parting words for the group?
See you all
Maybe
next year. See you all next year.
Yeah.
Come dance with me in Ireland.
Sing and dance, right?
Stay safe.
Santa.
See you next year.
Cheers,
Thank
Karen.
you, everybody.
Thank you for watching.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.